Welcome, everyone, to the Helm developer call for Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Happy New Year, everyone. And we've got our minutes, our agenda and notes for today. I'll go ahead and drop that into chat here. We have a couple of discussion points and one announcement by me, so I'll start it off. The announcement is that the next minor version of Helm, the release candidate for that, will be cut on Monday. And so any maintainers, I may poke folks for reviews because there's a few things more we can probably get in with some reviews. But that's when the release candidate is cut. After the release candidate is cut, only breaking changes or regressions will cause us to go in and fix something for the release candidate, and we'll notify all the normal channels when that comes out. But that is slated for Monday, with the release coming, what is it, January 18th, the third Wednesday of the month. And with that, the first item we have on our discussion is 1Password, moving to 1Password. And it's Scott's item, and he's not even here. So we might want to take a quick look. Scott filed the thing, 1Password for open source, to see about us getting that. And we'll probably need
switching from
LastPass to 1Password. Yeah. So LastPass had a security incident. There's also some things that are built into 1Password, such as the ability to work with two-factor authentication across multiple people, which is really useful for things like, you know, when 2 or 3 people need to authenticate in something and you've got to have a token. So we'll hold this one off and let Scott talk about it next time, I guess. But we are looking into that. And then George, you had pull requests you wanted to talk about.
Sure. I mean, if there's anything else we want to talk about first, I just basically collect things over the weekend and add them to the agenda for 2 weeks. Or if there's anything more urgent, then otherwise, do you want me to share? And
go ahead, you can start.
Right. I don't want to. So basically, the idea is to to bring things to attention that I think are good for a review.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm just creating a window where I'm logged into GitHub.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Zoom is not showing that it's shared, but anyway.
It's shared.
So this one here is a pretty small change in the end. Sorry, I shouldn't scroll so fast. When you upgrade and install, there is no usage of the force flag, so it doesn't adopt the resource, and so the PR is pretty simple. Add a force flag, and then pass that to the install process when doing upgrade. So I think that one there is reasonable to review. And next. This is also a bug. So the existing implementation of all namespaces was in the CLI. This caused a problem for API clients, of course, because the API client would just list for the API doesn't have this logic or didn't have this logic, so this is what this PR does. The complication is that the way this configuration thing is set up in Helm is it's passed in with the namespace already set from when the CI initializes. So the suggestion from this guy was to create a ability to clone the existing configuration with a new namespace. So that's what this other the have implemented. which you can see here, and the effect is that it is actually there's one more thing which needs to be done in this PR, which is this comment here, which they haven't done yet, where if all namespace is set, then so I wouldn't merge this one yet, but the general structure is here. It just needs to set configuration outside of this initialization, so that if you reuse your API client, you don't, for listing, you don't end up reusing the listing for all namespaces. So I think this one here is good for review as well.
Okay, yeah, I can go poke at this one. The namespace setup, I mean, that's one of those things that if we do a Helm version 4 someday, I think it's one of those things that needs to be changed, because working with varying namespaces and long running clients is a little bit difficult in Helm. And so figuring out a good way to do that would be an improvement here. So I know this code well enough to know some of its pitfalls or I did. It's been a while since I looked at it. I'm happy to go poke at this one.
Cool, sounds good. Yeah. The next PR, someone just added volumes into chart create into the template there, so it's pretty small. And also this one here, someone has implemented a get metadata command. The implementation looks pretty nice. I think it's good for review. The intention being that you can, sorry, I jump around a lot. If you want me to slow down, just let me know. The intention that you can run Helm get metadata, and you'll print out basically the metadata object from the chart. They've accounted for like different things like the output format, table, JSON, etc. So I think this is good for review as well. So that's what I had.
Metadata before, yeah.
In terms of various things which are good for review. I think this is useful. Let me know if you just want me to ping people asynchronously rather than bring them to the meeting. But
meeting's a good idea to bring this up at.
Okay.
I thought I reviewed something in metadata recently. Oh, maybe I didn't.
The other one I was going to potentially bring up, if we have time, I don't know if anybody else, this might go into quite a big discussion. Oh gosh, sorry, can someone? I stuck in the
metadata one. I'll go look at the metadata one.
Can we, the link on the first one wasn't right. Can we go back to the volume mount one? Helm create volume. Maybe it was. When I follow the link on that one, we were, oh, it's 11,670. Okay, problem is in the notes. I'll fix it.
Did I make a mistake? Okay, sorry. The other thing I was potentially going to bring up if we have time, so excuse me, is there's been this long-standing issue that when you do Helm templates or Helm install dry run, it doesn't contact the cluster. There's security reasons for doing this. People often probably do Helm template and CI, and they don't want to pull secrets out of the cluster. There's another issue which I've seen go past before. Sorry, I'm going down to find it. Where people have complained quite a lot that when you do Helm template, it does print secrets in clear text to the to your output. So if you do like a Helm template in CI, then you get all your templates or your rendered secrets printed to CI, which is a slightly different issue. But the naive suggestion here is that Helm template dry run should go to the cluster and do lookup, which the reason I bring up this other issue, I think it would make dry run worse in terms of showing secrets. Joe mentioned that kube control has two different dry runs, has server and client, which I think has two nice properties. One is that if Helm has a dry run client, dry run server, client would stay on the client side and continue the current implementation where the client wouldn't contact the cluster. Lookup would be a no-op. If the user specified server, they would lookup would work, and then it'd be the user's responsibility to ensure that any secrets are not printed, etc. But at least this would be an opt-in. So this is roughly what I typed out here. I think earlier in this issue, it was mentioned that we would be welcome to a PR to change the behavior of dry run. But I did want to call to attention this one, which I think if the naive implementation where dry run did context the cluster would make this situation worse, which is where this proposal came from. If everybody has any thoughts, or my intention here is to help guide the discussion or anybody's PRs so that we end up with the behavior we want.
I can give some context here. Helm template, I mean, it needs the secrets in it because the idea is you take that and you're going to use it elsewhere, right? You have to have something fully functional. So whether your secrets are plain text or base 64 encoded, and that's easy to undo. It has to be there because you're going to pipe it to something else like kubectl, right?
Yep.
It's not necessarily designed to see how is this thing going to install. It's using Helm not as a package manager, but as a template engine. And so we have to be careful to provide everything people need there, right? That's its intent. And
okay,
with
in that case, oh, sorry to interrupt. In that case, it would be buggy because lookup doesn't work with Helm template.
Yes, and that's because you're using it as a template engine rather than this. Now, if we wanted to add an opt-in to be able to contact the server to make lookup possible, that's something I think I'm okay with because people then opt into it. It's not the default behavior, and we're not changing behavior on anybody. I think an important thing is here, we can't change behavior, but we can add behavior. And if we let them opt into it, then they know what they're getting themselves into. So it's not an unseen security situation. They know it's contacting the server. They have to make sure their contacts and everything's right, and they're on the hook for it, right? I think the same thing goes for dry run. You know, whenever we do a dry run, we can't change the behavior of it. Does dry run not contact the server today? I can't remember.
It does not, no.
Okay.
In fact, Helm template is implemented by doing Helm install with dry run forced to true.
Okay.
Bunch of that came up with the trail of bits security audit a couple of years ago, and that's why we did it that way. But I really like this idea of being able to specify, yes, I want to look it up on the server. That would get around trail of bits, the security audit complaint, which was this was an easy way to leak information out of the server and into a command that seems like it's just running the template engine. So I'd be okay with this proposal. I actually think this is really elegant and would be a very cool way to do it.
I guess this would have other advantages that you can like do validations, right? I mean, if you, for example, do a Helm install with dry run server, it could, for example, warn you that it already exists, a release with the same name, or that there are conflicts, or that it could not update, right? It could really do a real dry run to the server push. I think the Kubernetes API has this support as well, right? To like run the modification webhooks already. For example,
yeah, this is generally how I validate my charts. Is I Helm template and then I pass them to Kubernetes kubectl dry run.
Yeah. So you get warnings if you change an immutable field or something, right? That.
Yep. Okay. I think the complication here then would become right now in the API, dry run is a Boolean. So it would be how to change the API in a backwards compatible fashion, which might get a little ugly, or would have to defer to Helm for.
Well, it's one of those things where we could add something such as dry run being client side only and dry run server being server contact. And then you could change it that way because it's not a change, it's an addition.
Yeah. I agree. Like if you added an additional field and it was optional, then you could do the ugly logic to work between them. Okay. There was a PR to implement, but the naive way. I think it's I think if we're in agreement here, we can point people into that direction, or maybe if I get time, I can try and, since it's my suggestion, send something myself.
All right.
Cool. That's what I had as well. If anybody else has
Okay,
any-
so I made a mistake in the notes somewhere and I want to make sure I fix it. So which issue is the one that adds the volume mounts to Helm create? What is the issue number?
that
I don't
should
think it's
be-
11585. 11585 is the upgrade install force one.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my notes are wrong. I see. So let me. So when I sign into Google Docs, I have to sign in anonymously, and
Yeah.
it makes a giant mess. I think that's right there. So 11 context. I'm just updating the document. So 11670 is Helm create volume mounts, and 11585 is Helm
Okay.
upgrade install force.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So now whatever you just did
No,
seems to
shoot.
fixed it.
No,
So,
I
okay.
still didn't do it right. Helm upgrade install force is. I'll fix it. We don't need to spend time on the talking. I'll make sure these all line up.
All right. Really excited about getting that dry run thing, a fresh way of doing that. That was a tough one a couple of years ago when we went through the security audit, and we ended up really kind of, in my opinion, stripping it down to its bare unit of usefulness. But it's nice to see a way to add back the functionality that we had originally wanted, but wanted to do securely. So that'd be really exciting if we got that in.
Cool. I'll try and find some time. Yeah,
I
it's been there for a while.
don't mean to put pressure on anyone. It's just one of those things where
Yeah,
it was we had this intention behind it and we couldn't figure out the right way to do it. And now a fresh perspective is like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I wish we'd thought of this like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty nice as well. I think if we can be analogous to coup control, because that's natural for users to not confuse themselves. Alrighty.
Great.
Let me fix these notes. But yeah, it was kind of Joe's idea as well. I typed out some of the details.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else? Then we need notes, moderator, all those goodies. I can moderate again next week. Unless Butcher, you'd like to.
I'm actually out at a company all hands meeting next week.
That's next week. All right.
As
We
is,
can leave
as
the
is
other.
Karen too, so
Yeah. All right. Then we will figure out the rest next week before we start the meeting.
all right.
All right. Well,
You
everyone.
can sit me down for triage. I can continue.
I'm going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time reviewing the volume mounts one because this looks pretty straightforward. So
Yeah, that one should be an easy one. Yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
most of these PRs are pretty small.
all right. Anything
thank you.
else?
Not for me.
Sorry, can I bring up something if that's okay?
Certainly.
My name is Michael Morris, and I'm a first-time contributor to Helm. I guess I worked on a pull request, and I submitted it back in October, towards the end of October, and I guess there's been no progress on that since. I'm just kind of wondering if I've missed something along the way in submitting it, or if it's just a matter of time. Or
I think it's a matter of time and focus. I'm not sure how it got triaged. Can you tell us the pull request?
yep, it's 11479. I can put in the chat.
1479.
I've added it in the chat there.
Add option to support foreground cascade deletion. Not sure what's happened with this one. Well, a lot of pull requests come in and we don't always get a good look at them. So I can take some time to go take a look at this and provide feedback.
That would be great. That'd be super. Thanks a
If
million.
you'd like to give an overview in this meeting, sometimes that'll speed things up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, I guess the purpose of this is on the uninstall that the command won't return until after all the pods have been removed. So the idea is we provide new flag -- cascade, and as Julian provided some details on the suggestions to how to implement it, and I've went along with what is suggested, that you provide this new flag -- cascade, and then that will run with the Kubernetes foreground cascade deletion option. So the command won't return until the pods have actually been deleted.
One thing that comes to my mind here is kubectl has this cascade flag as well, right, for delete.
Yes.
And there it is a string option where you can set it to like foreground or background or awesome, right? There are like 3 options there, and I guess like using a Boolean flag here now would like limit us then to or like make a derivation from kubectl that's kind of unnecessary, and I would probably suggest to just align this with kubectl.
Okay.
Other
Yeah,
than
I
that,
can look into it.
Yeah, I'd suggest the same thing. And in my review, if I had found that, I would have said the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. I can look into that. Yeah.
So about that note on the PR.
Do we want to check in on this one next week?
Checking on this pull request next week.
Yeah, wait, hang on, I'm scrolling back. Oh, that would be too late to hit 3.11, so okay.
Yeah, no, 3.11 final is when we cut the release candidate next Monday. So we're coming up to time here with not many working days left.
Okay, is
Okay.
this one we want to try and get into that one, or is this fine to wait till 3.12?
I mean,
From my side, anyway, it's fine. Leave to 3.12. There's no particular hurry as such. Like.
Okay. All right, I'll leave this open, and when I start organizing stuff around 3.12, if we don't get it into 3.11, I will put it into the milestone.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see some of you back here next week. Goodbye.
So,
Yep.
thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
bye bye.